Welcome to Making the Most of Your Volunteer and Service Work. This is a mini recorded workshop being hosted by myself, Ashley Meswar-Gonzalez, and my colleague, Marin Morrison. We're both career advisors over at Career Services. So today, before we jump into talking about volunteer and service work, we just want to do a quick plug. This is how to get in touch with us. A lot of the topics that we're bringing up, if you want to talk more about them, or you'd like more help figuring out next steps, or even just where to start, please reach out. You can make an appointment through that QR code or by getting in touch with that phone number or email there. So, big picture thoughts. Why do we do volunteer and service work? Think about what makes sense for you, right? What is motivating you to pursue volunteer or service work? There's a lot of different reasons that many people might list for getting involved. A lot of common motivators are wanting to do some good. They might want to be helping people. They might want to have an impact. They might also be engaging in an interest of theirs or trying out a skill or wanting to um, add something to a resume, right? Because these experiences are really great ways to build skills, including people skills. And because they can be added to a resume and used for some career exploration, they have some short and long-term career benefits. Those benefits, some of them being exploration, right? Volunteer in service is a really accessible way to try on different roles or try out different types of employers, different settings, and again, a way that is a little bit shorter term or easier to access than maybe a full-time job might be. It also allows you to start building your professional network through the connections you're making and the people you're meeting with. It helps you get your foot in the door, particularly for certain industries that really, really value volunteer and service work. That can be an excellent thing to add to a resume. You're enhancing that resume for any type of internship or job, because again, you're adding skills and experience. And lastly, a lot of this can be very beneficial on an application to things like medical school, law school, or another graduate school. So, we're going to talk about this in three layers. We're going to talk briefly about what to do before you start a volunteer experience, including some opportunity or some ideas for trying to find these different opportunities. We're going to talk about what you can be doing during the experience to kind of make the most sense and get the most out of it in the moment. And we're going to talk a little bit about what to do after the volunteer experience so that those benefits continue to pay off over time.
Great. So before we go out and find a volunteer experience, I want you to think for a second about why you're doing this, right? Just how we started off this presentation. Some questions that you could ask yourself are what causes are important to you? What type of environment do you want to work in? What do you want to learn? Who do you want to help? In addition to those questions that might help you understand the type of work that you want to do or where you might want to volunteer, I encourage you to also think about the logistics, right? Who is in my network? What resources can I use to find these opportunities? Is there an ideal location or somewhere that you can commute to easily? How will you get there? And what's a good time for you to volunteer? What kind of commitment realistically can you make? It could be the most incredible experience in the world, but if you need to be there 20 minutes after class on the other side of the city of Chicago, it's not going to be realistically a good experience for you right now. In addition, when you're thinking about how to actually find those volunteer opportunities, you can think about first looking within Loyola. So we have offices here on campus that have tons of resources with experiences both here physically on campus as well as in the local area. In addition, though, you can think outside of campus as well. Both the Community Service and Action Office as well as CELTS have a local organization list that has a list of places that many other students have volunteered with in the past. Also, organizations will come to career fairs and the nonprofit fair to share out what their organizations are doing and how you might be able to be involved. We also have a couple other organizations or resources on here as well that can help you find experiences in Chicagoland and even nationwide if you're thinking about volunteering over a summer or winter break.
So you found the opportunity. You're in it. They're excited to have you. You're there. What can you be doing during this experience to make the most of it? Well, a lot of it is going to be self-reflective. A really great tool for this is to either keep some notes running in like a phone app or to keep like a physical journal and just keeping track of your reactions and thoughts. What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? How is it going? How does it feel? And so some of this might be, how can I improve the work? How can I do even better at some of the tasks they've provided? But it's also kind of important to note, not everything may be perfect, and that's okay, right? As you come across things that might be challenging or surprising, also write those down. This will tell you something about how you might want to navigate your next experience, or just gives you some food for thought while you're in it. Is there ways you might potentially be able to change your experience while you're there? So, some good questions to help you get started. Do you feel supported? Are you there and growing and getting what you need out of this experience? What are you learning about this cause? What are you learning about that specific organization? So that knowledge factor, right, might be growing as you're getting more and more involved. And lastly, are you being challenged enough? If not, are there ways, could you potentially take on additional tasks? Could you take initiative and ask for additional projects? Or potentially, is there a more advanced volunteer role you could transition into? The other thing you can be thinking about during your opportunity is building that network. So everyone you meet is a potential addition to your professional network. Make connections with peers doing the same work, fellow volunteers, but also think about your supervisor and other professional full-time and part-time staff that might be interacting with you or just in the same environment as you're going about your volunteer duties. Try to keep yourself open to being able to interact with anyone you might come across. Every single one of them has a career story to tell and might have some really useful advice or could be a potential reference or recommendation for a future job role or internship role.
So after the experience has ended, as Ashley said, number one thing to do is make sure you have that network in place. So first of all, write down the names, titles, contact information, and the context in which you met, anyone that you met during the experience. Again, this could be people that you worked with who work for the organization, but it also could be fellow volunteers as well. If applicable, send a thank you note after the experience ends, and connect via LinkedIn to make sure that you're able to reach out in the future or keep in touch for things like informational interviews, referrals, or even recommendations if you're thinking that your career path is going to be similar or related to the volunteer experience that you had. Also, concretely, make sure you show off your skills. After the experience has ended is a great time to add it to your LinkedIn or your resume. Make sure you craft bullet points that spotlight the transferable skills that you used in the experience that might be relevant for something else that you would do in the future. One thing just to note, you can put this experience in your work experience or your volunteer experience. You're in charge of your resume. You don't have to strictly put paid experiences in one category and unpaid in another. If you feel that the opportunity was highly valuable to yourself and your development and potentially relevant to wherever you are going next, by all means, put it at the top. Also, we want you to reflect. So often a volunteer experience can be a lot very quickly, and we want to make sure that you're breaking down and processing kind of what went on. So some questions to ask yourself are, what did I accomplish during this experience? What tasks, responsibilities, or projects felt most engaging and why? What skills did you use or develop? Pretty importantly, how has this experience influenced the kind of work you want to do or don't want to do? As Ashley said, it's very okay if you go to a volunteer experience, you donate your time, you learn something, but that thing you learn is, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. That's fine. That's great. You were able to commit or to do some service, but also understand to yourself, this might not be the thing that I want to do long term. If it is a volunteer opportunity you're planning to go back to, or that comes up a lot, ask yourself, what would I do differently if I had the chance to do this again? How did this experience shape your understanding of the issues you want to address, the communities you want to serve, the causes that you want to support, and what do you want to remember about this experience, especially if you plan to reference this in a job application, a grad school application, or bring it up in an interview, you really want to make sure you have clear takeaways for yourself that you can reference moving forward. If this seems like a lot and you're like, I don't really know how I feel about this volunteer experience, that's a great reason to come in and make a career advising appointment to talk this over with a career advisor. So what's next? You did this experience. Congratulations. You volunteered. You have something on your resume. And hopefully you feel like you made a strong impact at the opportunity you were able to do. What do you do next? So one option is to stay involved with the same place. Maybe you're doing the same experience again. Maybe you're moving into a leadership role or moving into a slightly different role within the same organization. Or like we said, maybe you learned that that was not the thing for you, and that's perfectly okay. It gives you the chance to take on a new opportunity, and you have those transferable skills and wonderful experience that you can bring up and help you get to that next step. So we want to thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about those ways that you can make the most of your volunteer experiences. If you're having issues with the before, after, or during, please feel free to connect with career advisors. We're here to help you with every step of the process, and would love to see you. Have a wonderful rest of the day.